Looks like I'm here. Sorry, y'all. It took me a minute to get here. I was hyping myself up because, in all honesty, I was nervous. Which, oh, I'm going to watch it, so I should probably turn the volume down. Yeah, I know that's kind of weird because it's like I'm not really in front of people, but I'm still in front of people and I get nervous, but mostly excited. It's just because I'm excited. Oh no, yes. This is live. I have several drinks here, by the way. Of course. Sorry, I shouldn't drink it to the microphone, but of course my Feed Your Plets, Water Your Plets tumbler. If you want to check out the merch stuff, I will talk a bit more about the merch stuff because I know some people, when they hear me say merch, they're like, oh, you're talking about capitalism and now you're starting to sell merch. I will explain myself. Okay. But yes, this is too sexy. It's too early in the day. I know I have blackout curtains. I didn't know I was going to sing that song until it went high. And then anyway. Okay, perfect. Yes, but if you want to check out the merch, you can go to the Instagram. I'm going to start updating that stuff. It's taken so long. And I'm sorry, but it's because I actually wanted it to be like stuff that people would like, even if they didn't know me or care about my channel. Because, yeah, like, who wants to carry an ugly tote bag around just because you like the person who made it? Like, girl, please. So, oh my God. Hi, T. No, I haven't named her. Do y'all want to? I'm feeling Ursula, but I'm not 100% sure. So if y'all want to name her this little number, let me know. But yeah, the volume's really low. Let me fix that. Foreign man was helping me fix so much of my audio, y'all. You have no idea. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So just some quick stuff for last week. And I guess this has to do with the capitalism thing. People were talking about, like, why was I, not a bunch of people, but there were enough people talking about, why would you hate on Jay-Z for that? You know, maybe he didn't say it right, but like, black people should be capitalists. We need to start taking our piece, blah, 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 blah. Why hate on people getting money? And I'm just like, okay, I don't know if we were using the same operational definition. And I'm feeling super fancy this week, y'all. I have like a PowerPoint, not a PowerPoint, but kind of a PowerPoint. Like I said, Foreign was helping me a lot. So let's just first define capitalism real quick. I'm not trying to be super shady, but I just feel like a lot of us are throwing that word around, and I'm not sure we all are using the same definition. Let me know. Ooh, I think y'all can see that. I think you can still hear me. You can still hear me. I'm just waiting to see. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm so excited, y'all. Oh my God. Foreign helped me do this. Thank you so much. Okay. So let's just look at this real quick. What is capitalism? An economic system characterized by private ownership in which the free market alone controls the production of goods and services. Seems pretty simple. Like, I just got this off Investopedia. Says who it was fact checked by, who it was researched by. So I feel like we can trust this definition. But then we go to a fast fact real quick. Capitalism involved reorganizing society into social classes based not on ownership of land, but ownership of capital, i.e. businesses. So that's what I'm referring to when I'm saying, why are we trying to be capitalists? Not that we shouldn't want to own businesses and things like that. I don't think that's a problem. I'm someone who actually, I think I'm pretty business savvy and good at marketing, oddly enough. And I enjoy that kind of stuff. But it's when it starts to become about acquiring and acquiring and acquiring with no regard for anyone else and who you harm and exploit in the process. And like I said last week, we all are going to harm and/or exploit people to an extent, even by just the products we use, or even just by living in a certain part of the world. A part of the world that hoards resources. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to participate in some form of harm or exploitation to someone. To me, it's about reducing that level. And when Jay-Z's talking about capitalism, I want to believe his intention behind it, but him trying to picture a world where a bunch of Black folks are like him in that photo with a bunch of who was it? It was like all these rappers and stuff together with their very light-skinned, biracial or racially ambiguous wives. Like the boys club with the cigars. Like, I don't know. It just gives me that vibe. Like, we all got to eat, not just good, but like incredibly good. And I'm just like, there isn't enough to go around for all of us to be billionaires. But continuing with this fast fact, capitalists were able to earn profits from the surplus labor of the working class. It you, it me, it most of us. I was trying to be super shady. I have actually. Oh, wait, I have another camera angle, y'all. Oh, we getting super fancy. I'm going to try and do a close up. Oh, it's super blurry. Oh, focus, baby. Focus, baby. You can do it. Put your back into it. Sorry, y'all. I'm just testing some things out. Okay, it's less blurry now. That's going to be the close-up camera. All right. But yeah, going back to it, most of us are part of this, and we earn wages, but we don't get to control what those are. We don't own the means of our labor most of the time. Like, I'm on this app and they straight up taking 45%. And like, sometimes it pays really well. I'm not going to lie, but it's very precarious. You don't know if you're going to get a video. Like, my last live was age restricted. So it reduces the number of people that can see it, but then it also reduces the number of ads you can even run on it, which means that you don't make money off of it. So you'll put all this work into something that gets YouTube money, but you won't see the fruits of your labor. Just like even smaller creators, like with YouTube, you have to have 4,000 hours, I think, of watch time and 1,000 subscribers to even start to monetize. But they will still be running ads on videos, as far as I've seen, that aren't monetized. Like, the creator isn't getting that money, but YouTube still is. How is this legal? Oh my God. How is this legal? It ain't right. How is this legal? It ain't right. It's not right. And like, I'm not trying to be like a complainer as well, because for me, like, I'm pretty grateful. Like, I worked a serving job for most of my 20s, and serving is, when it's good money, it's pretty good. It's a lot of work and a lot of assumptions about how people should tip, but either way, it's good work, to the extent that, like, while I was in school, I didn't want to be working 7 days a week to be able to live. And my program was really intense. So, but yeah, I want more of us to realize that, like, we are literally walking around doing stuff to make money for other people. Damn. Oh, damn. And Jay-Z can say that all he wants, but he's not living paycheck to paycheck, or he's not like worried that his money is going to run out at any moment. I mean, maybe it could, to the extent, like, I know Jay-Z isn't the wealthiest billionaire in terms of billionaire. Even someone like Oprah isn't even that wealthy in terms of billionaires. Like, there are a lot out there. A lot. The US has definitely a lot, but China's starting to have a lot more. Also, sorry, y'all. There's research, and everything will be pinned, or everything will be in the description below, all the like articles I used. And I'm also going to post a playlist for videos that I used to like read and research for this. But I'm not a fact checker and I'm not a journalist. So just know that going into this, I'm not trying to say any of this stuff is fact purely. I have receipts for whatever I can have, but we're just chatting. So yeah. Anyway, that was just a little update from last week. Now we move on to the business. So the queen is gone, is no longer with us. She has departed. She gone. And I don't know. I like, damn it. I wish I could remember the user's name. I opened my YouTube Studio app to check a community post, and all I see is the queen is dead and a celebration emoji. And I was like, what? Because she's been alive. The whole time I've been alive, the Queen of England has been the Queen of England. So I don't know. It was just very like shocking, because like even during COVID, when I was bored, I went down that rabbit hole of watching random videos. And one of them was that, I think it's Vanity Fair. It's linked, but video about what happens when the queen dies, and how they were talking about Operation London Bridge. And if she dies at Balmoral, then it's a completely different story, and blah, 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 down to what colors CBC newscasters have to wear and all of that. And speaking to that, I was watching a Democracy Now! Video, and one of the folks on there, Ash Sarkar, was talking about how this mourning for Queen Elizabeth is very calculated and a very top-down approach. She compares it to when Diana died, and it was a very bottom-up. You just saw people pouring out spontaneously, putting flowers, like everyone was grieving together, and it just seemed like people were coming together for this purpose. Whereas with this, it seems very much like she used the word choreographed, which I appreciated, because the presenters on the BBC have to wear all black. The BBC logo changes colors to black and white. I believe it's not enforced necessarily, but it's encouraged for people to kind of, cancel public events. So there are a few soccer or football matches that are canceled, I guess. And also no comedies are playing on the BBC. Apparently they play somber music. This is all from that source, again, linked below. But yeah, it's very interesting how manufactured this kind of mourning is. And I don't know. I think for me, you know what? No, we're just going to go there. People, again, started, what the internet does. The memes were coming out. The roasting was happening. Some of it was real funny. And people were like, you shouldn't talk ill of the dead. Why are you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. Show some respect. I wrote down here, where was her family's respect when they were colonizing a third of the world? Is it time for a close-up? Just wondering, where was her family's respect when they were colonizing a third of the world? Asking for a friend. Actually, asking for my ancestors. Anyway. I'm having way too much fun with that close. I'm having way too much fun with these camera angles. Oh my God. Oh God. But for real, where was their respect then? So I don't, and this is something I get really passionate about, but there was this really great article by Maya Jasanoff. It's an opinion article in the New York Times titled "Mourn the Queen, Not Her Empire." And I really loved this photo too, because all of the pictures that you see of the Queen right now are very like cute little old lady. And if I saw a picture of this woman and I didn't know who she was, who her family was, anything, I'd be like, oh, look at that adorable little old lady. Look at how cute she is in that outfit. Which I know is disrespectful, infantilizing old people, but it's just sometimes it's so cute. I don't think it's bad to be cute, but anyway. But because I know the atrocities, it's interesting how many photos are of her smiling, are of her cracking jokes. All of a sudden, the Queen was so funny. She used to be hilarious. And I really like this photo because it's showing what it needs to. Like this photo is exactly the kind of photo that says, my ancestors stole shit. I'm sorry. Oh God. Oh, Khadija. Lord. You know, but anyway, I want to read you a quote. There are a couple of quotes that I pulled from Maya Jasanoff's article. First one being, sorry, y'all, I'm still getting used to this system, so bear with me. Teehee. Okay. So the first one is about her namesake, the first Queen Elizabeth. So it says, because when Queen Elizabeth II was coronated, I think in 1953, it's June 1953, people were talking about this being a second Elizabethan age, so to speak, perhaps. So the first Elizabethan age in the second half of the 16th century marked England's emergence from a second-tier European state to an ambitious overseas power. Elizabeth I expanded the navy, encouraged privateering, and granted charters to trading companies that laid the foundations of a transcontinental empire. So that's her great-great-great-great-grandmammy. Or, I don't know. Is it actually? I actually don't know the You know what? It doesn't matter. So, yes, within the time of Queen Elizabeth's reign, I guess the royal family's influence started to kind of deteriorate, particularly after Princess Diana died. Yes, they're still there, but it seems like it wasn't until Kate Middleton and Will, I'm saying Will like I know him, and Prince William got together that people were starting to be more interested again. And then, of course, with Meghan and Harry, people were really interested. But as more and more countries throughout Queen Elizabeth's reign were starting to become independent, and I'm using quotes for a reason, which is this next one. She talks about how a lot of them came into the Commonwealth and how that's supposed to be something different. It wasn't British imperial rule. These are just countries in the Commonwealth. And I live in Canada now, and Canada's part of that. Queen's a head of state. I was like, do we get a holiday? Because that's all I care about, but I don't think we do. Let me pull up the quote. So It says the Commonwealth had its origins in a racist and paternalistic conception of British rule as a form of tutelage educating colonies in the mature responsibilities of a self-government. So it's that benevolent white hand, right? Coming in to the global south, but it's these people that are a bit primitive, don't know as much. And yeah, we colonized them, but now we're going to bring them into this Commonwealth thing, and it's going to be about tutoring. You know, they change the language. The language always evolves. It's less, these people are primitive and don't understand, and it's more, they need a bit more guidance because they haven't been able to run countries the way we do. So we need to show them and teach them. Side note, when I was watching that Democracy Now! Video as well, and I think it was Maya Josinoff that said this too, people talked a lot about how the Queen was really, really into foreign policy, like knew a lot, studied a lot, all that kind of stuff. And she would have, sorry, I just looked down and saw a J that I was missing earlier that I was looking for. I'm gonna see you later. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. Got the camera's dead ass. Okay. But yes, I believe it was Maya Josinoff who was saying that, you know, she knew about foreign policy a lot, but she would also have a weekly meeting with, is it the Prime Minister and someone from England, please correct me, where it's not on the record necessarily, like there's no recordings and stuff. So you don't know what was said. So yeah, they're just an institution and it's a figurehead, but it's also like, how much is she or was she manipulating policy that we wouldn't have even known about or seen still? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's fact. Again, just saying. So making this a little more personal, someone said yes, PM. Okay, perfect. I actually asked my parents about if they remembered what it was like being in Gambia under British colonial rule, because families from Gambia, it's inside. I'm going to actually pull up a picture of Gambia because I think I should have done this earlier, but it's okay. We're learning and growing, because I think it'll help y'all make sense of where it is in relation to West Africa. Okay. Let's see if I can just do this as a browser. I'm just going to add this in here. Okay. So let's see if I did this correctly. If I did this correctly, this should work. Haha. Okay. It won't have the background that I typically have, but anyway, let's zoom in here. This is janky. Okay. Can y'all see that tiny, tiny, tiny little country in there? That's La Gambie, or the Gambia. Yes. People will sometimes call it Senegambia because Senegal and Gambia, but I grew up hearing that it was like this because there used to be one country and then colonizers came and the British took Gambia and the French took Senegal. So we speak a lot of the same languages and stuff, but there's a French component and mixture with Senegalese folks and an English one in Gambia. And I think the reasoning for this was because Gambia is literally a country built around a river. Like the river runs directly in the center of, not directly in the center, but like right in the middle. And so obviously transatlantic slave trade, it's an easy access point, especially because it's on the West Coast. But yeah, anyway, so that's to show y'all what Gambia looks like because yes. Now, I had asked my dad, and the first thing, I just kind of wrote down a couple questions, and this was his response. So the first question I asked was, what has the legacy of British colonial rule been in Gambia? And this is to him because he was like, make sure people know it's just my opinion. I'm like, okay, it's cool. So his stuff is the continuation of mental colonization, the continuation of depending on the systems there created to colonize us, the continuation of easy access to our resources for their own development at our detriment, the continuation of utilizing their capabilities to use political and economic persuasion / power at our disadvantage. Okay. That's my dad. And then the next question I asked him and his answer, I said, do you think Gambia has become actually independent? And that's why I said quotes before. And he said, no, we are actually more dependent. The Gambia cannot even finance its own budget. The financing comes from budget support. Sorry, this is really small. From budget support in the form of loans and grants and donor countries. Not much has changed in terms of governing systems. We have the same system of government and structures created by the colonizers. Now my dad called. He's not on the internet. My dad is not online. Like, he's online to read, but he's not online. So I know he means that. Okay. And except for cosmetic changes, oh, superficial, there we are, we still use the same systems they created. See my article. We'll get to that in a second. We can blame them for plundering our resources and culture, but after 50 years plus for most African countries since independence, we cannot hold them completely responsible for the self-inflicting, degraded socioeconomic circumstances we create and nurture for ourselves. Ooh, okay. So when I was talking to my dad about this, he actually told me about a paper or an article that he wrote. And I'm going to show it to y'all because it has a lot to do with this. But it was also like, my dad was ruthless. I was like, damn. So just prepare yourself for the title. Ready? How laziness and a lack of moral courage by African technocrats and bureaucrats is nurturing the political and socioeconomic stagnation of Africa. I wish I was a DJ so that I could drop like air horns, even though that's not funny. I'm gonna laugh, but that's not. So it's very dad term. My dad was born in like 1955, y'all. So just keep that in mind. He's not going to be sugarcoaty with his language. He's very much like, yeah, they did all that, but what are you going to do? You know, he's a dad. Okay. But it was really cool to see that article because I haven't really talked as much to my dad about politics growing up. We didn't really talk as much about that kind of stuff. And it's really interesting to know that like my spirit for this comes from somewhere and to really see it, because I think so many narratives that we get told, especially if you are racialized as a person of color and an immigrant and stuff like that, is that like it's just sad stories about your ancestors, not stories about them being badasses and like doing shit about stuff. And like one story that my mom had told me and my dad clarified later was like when he was in his late teens, early 20s, I guess he was handing out flyers because at the time, this was after Gambia got its independence, there was basically a dictator, Jawara, right before Yahya Jammeh. And my dad was handing out flyers that were like anti-government or critical of the government, whatever, to people, and he got arrested, I guess. I don't know. It was just like, I was like, what? So like, why? I don't know. Anyway, talk to your parents more, because I think there might be some more cool and interesting things that like your parents or family did back in the day that were pretty badass that you might not know about. And again, I'll link his article below. If you are sensitive to people saying, suck it up, buttercup, don't read it. I was critical of some of the stuff he said, and we'll probably talk about it at another point. But just know, my dad is he a boomer? He's a boomer, I'm pretty sure. 1955. He is not going to sugarcoat that for you, baby girl. It's just, he said what he said, and the title should have explained it to you all. Oh, God. But yeah. Anyway, I say all that to say, and even when I was in high school, sorry, I'm side tangent. When I was in high school, I hated school so much. And it was hard for me to like write about stuff that I cared about. But there was this one prompt where I like tried to squeeze and configure it in a way where I could make it as an excuse to write about how all of these colonizing countries came in and took resources from Africa. And that's why it's still so underdeveloped to this day. But it was something to do with the Industrial Revolution and not capitalism. But you know, I was young. I didn't know. Anyway, I've always felt this irritation when people try to ignore, again, miss the forest for the trees. It is important to talk about a lot of these issues, especially when we're talking about race. You know? Try not to get demonetized, so I'm trying not to say curse words and stuff too much. But when we're talking about racism and stuff, but I think there's a bigger global picture that we have to consider with the way so many of these countries that are in the quote unquote developed world now, or the global north, have been able to get ahead and profit because of everything that they stole. A lot of us want to leave, including myself. I live in Canada now. I grew up in the States and I went to Gambia back and forth like to visit for months at a time, but I never like lived there for like years or anything, right? But a lot of us, and even when I would go there, people want to leave. Everybody's like, "This could be different way," which is like, ugh, it's boring here. But it's not just it's boring here. It's just like we have nothing here. There's nothing here for us. Like, what are we gonna do? People want to leave. Why do they want to leave? Because things were stolen. Any sort of not any, but resources, people, because people are also resources, potential people that could have been beneficial to societies in these countries were also stolen. Land was stolen, resources, all of that stripped down. So eventually everybody wants to leave. Nobody wants to be here anymore. They're just like, well, what's the point? Let's go to these colonizer countries because they clearly got to see the benefits of a lot of the stuff that they stole. It's frustrating. It's something I genuinely get irritated about. Because I love being Gambian. I love being Gambian, Canadian, American. Sorry, it's in that order, even though I've lived in America and Canada the most. It's just, but I don't, if I was going to have some sort of national pride, even though I'm a bit about nationalism, because I just feel like it's a way that people, especially governments, use their citizens to commit daylight robbery in front of you under the guise of nationalism. Girl, please. But if I was going to have some sort of nationalistic pride for a place, it would be Gambia. And it's not even Gambia. It's just being from that part of the world and knowing even just at a glimpse. And it's very superficial, but I low-key do thank my mom for this. Every time I'd say, well, girl, we live in America. What do you want me to do? Blah, blah, blah. She'd be like, we don't know assimilation. Like, I tried to explain that word to her when I first learned it. She was like, we don't know that. Nope. And I'm low-key grateful to her because it's helped me learn a lot more about Gambia, not having been able to grow up there, than I would have if neither of my parents ever cared about it. Like, I grew up with my parents speaking Wolof in the house and speaking to us in Wolof. I always understood it. My accent's kind of bad. Don't have anyone to practice with now. But, I don't know. I think there's I think a lot more of us, if we felt like we had a connection to something as well. I'm not saying this for everyone, but I'm saying it's nice to feel a sort of connection to a piece of this earth that human beings long, long before you decided to start creating their own traditions and cultures and stuff that was just, I don't know. And this is also not to say that there was never any it was just peace, love, and good vibes in Africa. Nobody was enslaving each other. Tribes weren't fighting each other. Girl, come on. Things were happening. Even when my mom wanted to marry my dad, because he's part of a certain tribe, one of her relatives was like, girl, why? They are thieves. My last name is a bit of people are rude about my last name sometimes. But anyway, it's a joke. But anyway, this is all that, I guess all I'm saying is I will not be grieving the Queen of England. The only queens I recognize are Beyonce, Adele. Who else is a queen that I recognize? Those are the first two off the top of my head. Name your queens below. If you're upset about the queen, okay. But really think about, why are you upset about this woman that probably did not care about you, didn't know about you, was fine to continue a legacy of thievery, lies, fraud, and just walked around waving and smiling at people and maybe was influencing foreign policy. Maybe. I'm not saying she was. I'm just saying, if you're having private meetings every week with the prime minister, what is going on here? I'm not trying to sound like a mega conspiracy theorist, y'all. I'm just saying. Oh, Bob the drag queen, Keke Palmer. Love that. Latifah. Ooh, yep, Latifah. Oh, Janelle Monáe. Ooh, Nina Simone. These are some good queens. Shea Coulee, Diana Ross. Okay. Come on, Jada Essence Hall. Somebody said Taylor Swift. I'll slightly allow it. Queen adjacent. I'm so rude. I'm sorry. Oh, my mom. Oh, that's sweet. Viola Davis, duh. Oh my God, the Woman King. My sister's at TIFF right now and she saw her. She didn't meet her, I don't think, but she sent me a photo. It was blurry as hell, but it was cute. Oh my goodness. Okay. Moving on. Okay, y'all. We're going to be here for a little while, honestly, truly, because there are two more things that I want to talk about and they're pretty big. One of it's if you read the description, it's the Kim K returning to whiteness, and maybe we'll talk about Ray J, Y'all, I was up so late last night because I was so nervous about this live. And Ray J was just really helping me last night. He was really helping me out last night. So we might talk a bit about that just for the fun of it all so that the conversation isn't too heady. Because I like to mix and match. Y'all know I have a tone problem. But we're going to take a quick little breather just so I can reorganize. Because you know what I need to do. You know what I'm about to do. Don't act brand new. So I'm going to go do that. And I'll be back. Grab some water. We'll come chat back in a bit. It's like a podcast break or something. I don't know. Oops. I'm black. Oh my God, this is so fun. Am I a live stream girly? I'm sorry. Oh, while people come back, I'm going to put a camera battery in here. Just talk amongst yourselves. Oops. Uh-oh. No! I can't play Beyonce right now. They're going to demonetize me. Okay. I can't remember what I was about to say, but doesn't matter. Anyway, continuing on. So, y'all, Kim K is going back to her roots like RuPaul. Oh my God. So a few people were bringing this to my attention about how Kim K is all of a sudden white again and or is returning to whiteness. I don't know. Okay. Earlier this year, she showed up at the Met Gala in that infamous Marilyn Monroe Bob Mackie dress, the naked dress, the one that she wore at JFK's birthday. I actually did an homage to it in the Clout video. Check it out if you want to. It'll be linked below. But a lot of people were complaining online about the efficacy of it all, I guess, because it's a super old dress. People were like, it should be seen as a historical artifact. Like, it shouldn't just be worn, because she was only able to wear it on the red carpet anyway. And then she had to change when she went inside. The other reason people were upset about it is because, and you know, again, trigger warning for food things. Not again, this is the first time I'm saying it, but she lost 16 pounds in like 3 weeks. So I think a couple of videos below that I had watched at the time that talked about it. One, I think it's from someone who actually does deal with costumes and preservation of that, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but she seemed pretty credible. Anyway. But there was this FridayThings.com article that I read. Firstly, the title for her next trick. Kim Kardashian will be cosplaying as a white woman. So rude. Oh my God. But she talks about this moment. Ooh, I'm going to actually... I need to move this over. She talks about this red carpet moment in a different way. I'm sorry, I'm going to shrink this down. I don't know if y'all will even be able to see that. Hopefully you will. I'm going to zoom in so that I can see that, because my goodness. It says, Kardashian did her best to channel Monroe. Kardashian did her best to channel Monroe for the event, bleaching her hair blonde and losing 16 pounds in 3 weeks, something she faced ample criticism over. She defended herself by referring to her extremely unhealthy actions as preparing for a role. But in retrospect, it was clearly the soft launch of a completely new aesthetic, one centered on a very particular performance of whiteness. And while I'm sure she didn't purposefully choose Monroe as her avatar for this transformation, it's kind of perfect that she did. So Stacey Lee Kong goes on to explain that this specific kind of whiteness and blondness of Marilyn Monroe in this context of Richard Dyer's Star Text, which is the story of a celebrity from their work or from interviews of them or ads or articles or fan opinions, basically any mythos, I guess, around a celebrity figure is a star text. If someone's more familiar with that concept, please feel free to elaborate further in the comments. But it's essentially what the public story is of you, of a public figure. And Marilyn's was this picture of American beauty. In her time, she was specifically this blonde American beauty, because they note in this article that blonde, is to be blonde and be unambiguously white, right? It's kind of like when you think about, I know, I feel like if you say manosphere too many times, it evokes some demon, like Candyman or Beetlejuice or something. But it's like why those dudes seem to be obsessed with Stacey's or hot blonde, there's that picture of whiteness and womanhood. Sometimes I even use that as a way to let the white girls or the white folks, that are brunettes or redheads, redheads can kind of relate because redhead, stepchild, all that stuff. But anyway, sometimes I use that as an example just to be like, do you kind of see what I mean when you don't feel like you're represented because there are no brunettes? It may not seem like the best example, but you need any little in. Everybody has a different way to understand your point. Anyway, this doesn't matter. But Marilyn Monroe is this specific kind of beauty. And I know Kim Kardashian is very good at marketing, very good at aesthetics, very good at knowing how to cater to that and how to adapt to those things. And even if she didn't have the language that they do in this article of talking about the specific kind of white womanhood that Marilyn Monroe came to represent, she dyed her hair, she got a nose job. She still, and by she I mean Kim, still has this way of knowing that this is the perfect example of what it means to now step into this next era of her life. Now she's always wanted to be in fashion, I believe, but she says she's always wanted to be famous. It's not necessarily that it started she always wanted to be in fashion. It's just she's always admitted and been honest. This is the one thing I will outwardly say thank you for, is that she's honest about the fact that she's always wanted to be famous. She's never pretended not to be. And I think a lot of people try to say they don't want to be to try to seem cooler than that, but she's just been like, yeah, I always wanted to be famous. But if somebody's telling you that should give you a lot of information about what they would be willing to do to not only get that fame then, but keep it. Quickly going back to the marketing genius part of it, because I did read the interview magazine the interview from Interview magazine. Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to say that. And at one point she says, I think my talent is marketing. and the business behind selling products and knowing what the customer wants and making it feel attainable, but also a bit unattainable at the same time. I wouldn't say that's a talent. I think it's a bit of magic and business savvy. Maybe it's a talent. I don't know. I mean, she's giving you the information there. We all tell on ourselves. And we have it right in front. Like, she knows or thinks her talent is marketing. Making things seem attainable, but also unattainable. And this is where the backlash comes in about, no, we're not going to talk about the, we're talking about Kim return to right. You know what? Khadija, focus. I want to ask about this returning to whiteness, though, because, again, she's always said she's wanted to be famous or be a celebrity. And to me, if you're willing to do anything for that, that means you're willing to try on different aesthetics, aka not even just different aesthetics, sorry, but it means for her, a lot of times it just seems like she's, whatever is trending is what she's going to jump in on. When Kim was becoming more popular in the mid 2000s, it's more so like that was a time period. I wouldn't necessarily say that like the slim, thick body was super in then, if my memory serves, but I would say that even if it wasn't, like, here comes this multi-ethnic girl, she's very beautiful and she got a booty. She basically looks white, but she got a booty. Like, I think Kim used whatever she could to get to whatever levels of fame slowly, if that makes sense. Like, starting in reality TV, doing magazine covers that she probably didn't want to do, that she's actually said she didn't want to do, but that she knew would get her name out there, dating dudes. Like, you see how she's like slowly ascending. The more people she like dates, or the every year she gets more powerful. I don't know how to explain it, but it's pretty wild to see. Like, she went from being someone that like nobody wanted on the cover of she would never be on the cover of Vogue. Anna Wintour was like, don't bring that girl around me. What are you doing? No. And then all of a sudden, if you follow Vogue on Instagram, it's like every other post is a Kardashian one. Sorry, I hate drinking into this thing. I'm going to mute it next time I do that. But she's always kind of operating in this, or it seems, I should say, that she's operating in this like now more than ever wanting to be this unattainable standard of beauty, but still seeming attainable on top of everything else. Sorry, that was a random thought that just kind of popped out. But I think even she's not the first one to do this. We know that like Miley had her time in the 2010s when she was trying to break out of Disney. And at first she did her Can't Be Tamed thing, and that wasn't far enough. So then she went into full Juicy J hip hop realm, and then later talked about the misogyny of hip hop and went back to her countryish grass rock roots and all of that, seemingly donning a more white aesthetic, or an aesthetic that would appeal more to, let's say, white folks in in certain spaces. And it seems like that's kind of what Kim is doing. Is, okay, I used to be this reality star. I've because of Kanye now, I was able to get to Anna Wintour and to Vogue and all those other places, and I'm gaining momentum in all of these things. I'm the ultimate girl boss, yes. But it's like, I don't know. I I feel like Kim is, and I said this on Feek's Twitter and people got upset with me about it, but I'm not going to be surprised. I would not be surprised if she married a politician at some point or was a first lady of something. I would not be shocked if in a few years that happened, because it just seems like the writing's on the walls, you know? She seems very ambitious, which, you know, I've said, yeah, I'm an ambitious person too. I think that's something you have to check to a certain extent, and I don't think she has, because, again, for her, it's about fame, but I think it's also about power too. So it wouldn't surprise me if she was, honestly. It's a dark thought. It's a dark thought, I know. But listen, y'all elected Trump, so don't talk to me. Like, I did my civic duty. I voted, even from Canada, okay? In Georgia, thank you very much. In Gwinnett County. Okay, you know what? Stop. Sorry, I'm just looking at some of these comments. Not she has dated a politician, Kanye. Bye. Oh my God. But I want to also say that, like, I really think Kim is more so using the kind of racial ambiguity that she can play around in more than anything to mold to what the standard of beauty or the desired beauty is right now. Like, people have noticed that she's shaved down, that's terrible. But she's gotten slimmer. Her butt's a lot smaller, her hip is, her waist is, and I think Lauryn Hill was saying this, it's like a lot of girls that want to have this sort of BBL type figure, but not as dramatic as it was in the 2010s, will opt for something called a country club butt lift. Now, why is it called a country club butt lift? Just to think about. Why would it be called a country club butt lift? I think, in all honesty, when people are talking about being frustrated about the Kardashians and stuff and say, you know, oh, now Kim wants to be white. People are like, well, you didn't want her to try to be quote unquote black, so what do you want her to do? It's like, it's more so about the fact that it just looks and feels icky, perhaps, at least from my perspective. I won't try to speak for everyone else. To observe someone who literally, and I really just see this, is like the epitome of neoliberalism. It's like, or like capitalism's feminist upgrade come to life. You know, she talks so much about her family, how important they are to her and her kids. She has her businesses. She's a fashion girl. She's booked and busy. She's a lawyer now. She's getting people out of jail and all this stuff. Like, on the surface, it's like everything you're kind of taught to want, especially after like 2010s feminism and stuff. But underneath it, look at what she had to do to get there. And look at what she still does to maintain that. Like, is it okay to use your racial mutability? And this is a term that I actually got from, oh, the browser's not there. Just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, there it is. Talking about Kim's racial mutability. This is from this Instagram account here. To use that, maybe it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong because people are going to do it no matter what. But it's just maybe explaining more why people would be frustrated. It's her using that mutability, that racial mutability, to go from one background to another when it's fitting for her and claim some sort of allegiance or some sort of care or whatever. But like, was Kim doing this stuff when she was in her quote unquote Black woman cosplay era or biracial racial ambiguity girl era? Like, was she doing this work? No, because she was worried about getting ahead, which is fine, whatever. But now that she's in this position of power, she's using it, and to get certain people out of jail for sure. And I think that that's a good thing, but it's also like, that's not really doing anything when it comes to the actual justice system. Especially if you're saying that you're fine as long as it's a certain kind of criminal too. Because I'm not saying we should treat everything the same, but it's just like, it always seems like it's all about optics. It's always about a photo opportunity. It doesn't seem sincere. And someone would argue, well, what does it matter if they still got somebody out? And it's like, because it allows other people, I think, to think that it's okay to just do the bare minimum and just kind of do these superficial, these cosmetic adjustments to things to look good without ever actually changing the rotting structure underneath, or at least trying to, bit by bit. Especially when you have that much power to really do a lot more. I mean, I could sit here and pray that she's secretly funding, like, you know, direct action groups and stuff, but I probably doubt it because that goes against her bottom line. How can you can't live in a mansion or own mansions like that and all of that kind of stuff without somebody else paying for it too. Yeah, I don't know. As much as I want to believe that, I don't even actually know. I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to say that. What I am going to say is, did any of y'all ever watch Community? And if you did, there's a couple of episodes that are like my absolute favorite to watch back to back. I think it's season 3 when Troy and Abed have those pillow fights. The blankets and pillow forts episode. That's like the homage to Ken Burns films. Oh my God, it is brilliant. The episode before is when they introduce Subway as a character through a process called corpo-humanization. Human beings can, I guess, represent the collective interests of businesses, essentially. Except with influencer culture and Kim Kardashian, the business is yourself. And I'm in that. Like, yeah, a lot of y'all are here because you're interested in what I'm talking about and the space I'm creating, sure. But when I start selling merch, for the people that know me, you're going to want to buy it because you know me and you want to support and stuff. And so it's like, okay, that's great. Yes. But then now it's on me to go, what am I going to do with the fact that people like and trust me enough to listen to what I have to say, to buy the things that I would tell them to buy, especially if it's stuff that I'm selling? What now is my responsibility after that to other people? I don't really know if the Kardashians think about that part. And more and more of us are becoming like that corpo humanization, but for ourselves. We are the product. And with that family, it seems like the whole family, like it does seem like there are a few members of the family that try to recluse as much as possible, because it's just like I genuinely, this may sound whatever, but I do feel bad for Kylie and Kendall, because growing up, they grew up with that. Like, they were kids when the show started. If you've been on camera like that your whole adolescence, you didn't really have a choice. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel bad for them to an extent, because it's like, you don't have a choice in this. And now, I guess as an adult, you can choose to step back. And I think Kylie kind of does that a bit more. But either way, oh, poor Britta. Yes, poor Britta. But either way, it's like everything is about an opportunity or a story. And speaking of story, before we go on break time so that I can drink some water, because La Voce is tired. Ray J. This is going to be more fun, y'all. This is definitely going to be more fun. Oh, Lord. Y'all, Ray J. Ray J was having a time last night. So I guess Chris and Kylie were on James Corden's show, and Chris was doing a lie detector test. And like, we're supposed to believe this result. Anyway, she's doing a lie detector test. I guess they ask if Kim leaked her ex tape, and she says no or something, but I couldn't see where she said that Ray J did it. And I think that somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I watched part of his lives and stuff. Excuse me, 1 second. And it seemed like he was mad that they were bringing it up, but also that Chris was lying, I guess. So Ray J, I guess the rest of us were pulling a Whitney, and Ray J was Diane. Show me the receipts, Diane. Did Diane ever show Whitney the receipts? Anyway, that's a question for internet lore. Did Diane ever show Whitney the receipts? But he pulled up old contract with a projector. Where did he get this projector from? Ray J, who gave you this projector? Oh my God, I was having flashbacks to like the 3rd grade. What? And okay, say what you want, because I watched Love and Hip Hop LA for a while. Ray J was, oh my God. But Ray J is funny. Ray J was talking about how a bug flew on him, and he said, they throwing everything at me. Ray J couldn't read the messages because he needed his reading glasses. Like, it was kind of wholesome, but it was also like, damn, like, what is going on? It's so funny. And then, of course, Ray J had to go into they trying to bring this black man. You mess with the wrong black man. And I was like, oh, Ray J. I love making it about race, Ray J, but please. Like, nobody, don't cut that sound out. I'm just trying to be funny. But anyway, he was pulling up receipts with messages between him and Kanye, trying to smooth things over. He said that they made it seem like they were going to figure it out and make him look just as good on the TV show, on their new Hulu show as well. Allegedly. This is all alleged. I'm saying alleged even though he had receipts because I'm not trying. I got to make a living. But then I guess as well, he was messaging with Kim on Instagram as well. And when he saw the episode, he was like, what the heck is this? Like, y'all made it seem like we were all going to be good. I haven't talked to you in like 10, 15 years. And this is what it was a whole bunch of, because he said he was going to start talking and then she started talking back. He got real mad and then she got mad back and was like, do whatever you want. I don't care. And so Ray J was like, all right, say less. And bet you're going to care in a bit. And then it seems like allegedly she blocked him because I guess maybe she was trying to prevent him from continuing to share the messages. Anyway, either way, Ray J was upset last night, said he was not the one, was posting a lot of videos. If you go on his Instagram bio right now, it's something about the Kardashians and how he's upset with them. Like, or Chris is a liar or something like that. It's wild. Apparently they were calling him or blowing up his phone. I don't know. It's wild. But the thing that I found the most interesting in all that mess was when he was showing the alleged messages between him and Kim, or between him and Kim allegedly. He was doing handwriting analysis too, talking about how he was on his forensic file shit. Ray J is funny. This was wild. Anyway, I'm sorry. This was like 1 a.m. I was watching this like, what is going on? Okay. But in the messages between them, it seemed like she was talking about, she kept bringing up stuff like the story, or I'll talk to the team and we can figure out the optics or whatever. And I'm just like, interesting. He really did say forensic files. I was on the floor. Y'all, this live was entertaining. I was having a marvelous time. Just reading some of the comments. Oh gosh. Like, I was literally watching it all. Like Coco Montrese. Get her, Jade. Like, just get her, Jade. Like, it was wild. It was okay. It was definitely me participating in mess. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Me talking about it now is participating in it, but wild. It was so fun. Oh my God. Twitter was wild. Like, God. You mess with the wrong black man. I can't. He was doing cross handprint analysis, y'all. He was like, there it go right there, y'all. He was like, look at it. Look at her E. Look at that E. Oh my God. I fucking can't. It was so good. Okay. So I'm going to take another break. We're going to go on another little break. And then we're going to get to the meat of the conversation and talk about sci-fi fantasy. Because, man, I love sci-fi and fantasy. But I'm starting to get irritated with some of these fans. Not starting to, I am. But anyway, we'll talk about that after. So, go visit your green-eyed monster. Get some water. Get some tea, maybe. whatever you're feeling for this little break. BRB, y'all. BRB. I was out here singing Supernova Girl. Never got to hear it. Dang. Okay. So, we're going to talk. Is it rude to say the nerds? I don't want to. It's fine. Whatever. So, wait, what's going on? Okay, y'all, give me 1 second. I don't know if I can make them a mod through here. 1 second. I need to see the... Okay, 1 second. Okay, should be good. Okay, should be good. Oops. Where did I move that? Okay. Look who's here. Yes, Lydia? Lydia is here, y'all. What's going on? Okay, I'm just gonna let her decide what she wants to do. Do you want to come over here? Do you want to come over here? This is Lydia. Say hi, Lydia. She's very cuddly. She's been hanging out with me and my brother. Anytime one of us is somewhere, she's cuddling with one of us. Like, she just loves to cuddle. And she purrs like a pigeon. Yes, I know. All right. She's probably she'll be in and out. Anyway. No, the girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Lydia, what are you doing? She was taking a nap earlier. Now she's ready to, like, play. Anyway. So, House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel. Rings of Power, the Lord of Rings prequel, but it's an adaptation because I guess they couldn't get the rights to a lot of the Lord of the Rings stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then the trailer for The Little Mermaid came out. And now everybody's mad. And not everybody, but a lot of sci-fi fantasy folks, nerds, are mad. I'm not using nerds in a derogatory, like, I think of myself as a nerd, so I'm just going to use that to, like, categorize. But it's low-key derogatory because I'm like, never mind. You know what? I'm going to use it to categorize those group of people that are doing too much over all of this. Y'all are willing to suspend your disbelief about dragons flying through the sky, about people being able to put themselves, their minds, into the bodies of animals. about blood magic, sorcery. Y'all are willing to suspend your disbelief about so many things because you have to if you like sci-fi or fantasy. That's just what it is. Even if there are parts, and there will be parts of the real world in those things because human beings are making the projects, you have to be willing to expand your imagination to enjoy sci-fi and fantasy, because if you're too, it's like musical theater. If you're too hung up on the fact that nobody would ever just walk outside and sing, then you're not going to be able to enjoy musical theater because it's just going to be too unrealistic for you. Whereas if you're a fan of it, you suspend your disbelief because you're like, hey, we are entering the land of Rent. In this land, even if it's based on true things and written by real people, in this land, when we can't pay for our food and we're tired of the establishment, we get up and sing about it. So if you're going to like sci-fi or fantasy, you have to be willing to suspend your disbelief and just go, yeah, okay, fair. Y'all are willing to do that for so many things. But if somebody in the franchise has a bit more melanin, all of a sudden it's a problem. I feel like I need to plug in the Zoom mic. Not the Zoom mic. Ooh. But for real, all of a sudden it's a problem. All of these other things are feasible, but if somebody has slightly more melanin, it isn't. All of a sudden, then we have to start talking about genealogy. All of a sudden, then we have to start talking about lore and lineage and stuff. And I want you to confront your biases. And I'm calling them biases to be kind, because this is a space for grace, but also holding you accountable, because confront your biases. Because why is it so irritating to you? Even if, like, let's say it has nothing to do with the creators or whatever, because a lot of the times the first argument people will make is, well, it's just not true to the source material. Do y'all know what an adaptation is? Because an adaptation is not true to the source material 100%. It's an adaptation of the source material. And as far as I know, with Rings of Power, I think it is an adaptation. Whereas using Game of Thrones as an example, or House of the Dragon, I haven't started watching it yet. I'm letting it like collect, and then I'm going to watch it all in one go. I loved Game of Thrones. I have all of the books here. I had started reading them and actually really got into the books, but I have a hard time reading fiction in a weird way. I don't know what it is, but I do plan on finishing reading them because I actually do like the books. But I would nerd out and watch so many videos about Game of Thrones when it was on, theories, stuff from the books that didn't make it in but should have, like Reddit posts, all of that. Like, I was deep in that, burrowing myself in there. So after a while, I was able to just kind of be like, it's Game of Thrones sci-fi. I don't expect to see someone with my complexion on those screens. And honestly, it wasn't until watching Lovecraft Country that I was like, wait a minute. We can have more of these things, and we should be able to. And I know some people had mixed opinions about Lovecraft Country. I personally really enjoyed it. Mostly the like middle 3 episodes I thought were really good. But it was really cool to see folks that looked like me in this genre that I love so much. Like sci-fi and fantasy is pretty up there for me. It's probably my top two. Maybe the other, I think it might be my favorite actually. I really do like it. And it sucks not being able to see yourself in it. And a lot of us just make do with that. And we're like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. But I don't know. It's disheartening when you love a genre of, let's say, film and television, and it doesn't seem like they really care about you or care about your ilk or the folks that look like you, or in the case of some of these nerds, actually like can't stand you. Because source material or not, people are allowed to change and adapt. That's what creative works are. They're not rigid documents. Like Rings of Power adaptation, the prequel for the Lord of the Rings, the prequel for Game of Thrones. George R.R. Martin is working with these people. So if he didn't want the sea snake to be dark-skinned, then he wouldn't have allowed it. He would have said, hey, listen, all the Negroes are in the summer isles. Maybe y'all should go over there and film something. It's a prequel. We can do whatever we want. George R.R. Martin is there with the girls working on this show. And based off the videos of research that I was doing, nobody knows who the sea snake's mom is. Sorry, some of y'all are like, the sea snake. The dark-skinned man with dreads in the new Game of Thrones. Because it's like, and he's one character, as far as I can tell, in the main cast. But everyone's so up in arms about it. Y'all get so upset when there is one person with a bit more melanin on the screen or in the cast, in the main cast, because you think it's some diversity hire. And it's like, so you just don't want us in anything? And then they go, no. But why can't you make your own things? Like Black Panther was your own thing, blah, blah, blah. You know how long it takes for folks to just get their own thing? You have to have some sort of power, a lot more money, or know a lot of really great people that can connect you to get a lot of your projects done. That's why you don't see as many. Whenever people are like, whenever I talk about representation, people are like, oh, well, why don't you just, like, have you seen this show or this show? 9 times out of 10, I've seen the show that they're talking about. And 2, I'm like, you can like name it on your hand how many shows a lot of folks will have for representation. You don't ever have to do that with white folks. So don't you think there's a bit of a problem here, especially because the world is becoming even more diverse? And I think I've said this in a previous video. If we're looking at actual demographics and stats, there should be a lot more Hispanic people represented in television. If you're looking at like the research, this is from a previous video. I think it was on Gossip Girl or something like that. It was a Gossip Girl video, I'm pretty sure. But they always pull this, they're trying to be woke. And it's like, girl, maybe George R.R. Martin was just like, this might be cool. Look at that dark skin with those white dreads. That also looks cool. I'm kidding. You don't know. And unless he comes out and says, they forced me to do this. I didn't want to make him black, but I had to. Unless he comes out and says it, I'm going to go with the author of the actual book and the series and all of that, greenlighting this decision as it's now true. And I did put a video in the description from a couple of people that explain how this could be possible if you're more into like the lore and all of that, but also one of the girls gathers people. She's great. Anyway, the other one, of course, The Little Mermaid. I think this might be time for a close-up camera. Well, actually, I'm going to turn it on and see if this works. Let's see first. Oh, it's still there. Is it focusing? Why are y'all playing in Hallie's face like this? You do know that the director or creator, I can't remember who it was, said that he had seen her and her sister performing and loved her voice and asked her to audition for the role. Hallie wasn't going around trying to seek it. Network execs, as far as we know, and as far as he has said or not said, weren't going around saying, you need to get a little black girl. No. He said he heard her singing, because Ariel's whole thing is her voice. Literally, her voice gets taken from... Okay. Singing. He heard her singing. I just yelled singing like 4 times. Asked her to audition and said at the end of her audition, he cried. Diversity hire and all that aside, do y'all think Disney is going to put that much energy and money behind something like The Little Mermaid? The Little Mermaid was the thing that got Disney out of their rut. Because it came out in what, 88? You know what? Let's come back to the regular camera. I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a lot. Y'all, I'm pretty sure The Little Mermaid came out in 1988. Let's see. $1989. $1989 is when it came out. And then you see a whole slew of other Disney films, the golden age of Disney. You see all of the animated ones coming out after. So clearly this film has resonated with a lot of people. I mean, I even like the sequel. Yes, the sequel is not very good, but I liked it as a little kid, okay? Because I like The Little Mermaid. Fun fact, I was in a community production of The Little Mermaid, but it was like closer to the real Little Mermaid, and I just played this queen that wailed overly dramatically a lot. It was fun. Anyway. People watch a trailer and they're like, well, we just don't like that it's not true to the source material again. Or they say, it's not a real depiction. Mermaids? Unless they're hiding in the deepest pits of the ocean that we haven't gotten to discover yet because they're too low. Oh, that would be a good horror story. Bitch. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm back. Mermaids aren't real. Okay, it's time to get into my ASMR mode, okay? For comfort. I know some of you think that having somebody with a bit more melanin is going to ruin a franchise or ruin a film, but I would like to ask you to unpack why you think that is. Could it be that you don't see the person that has slightly more melanin as human just like you because you've bought into the ridiculous myth that race is natural and real and we're different species because we're different colors? That doesn't make any sense. Really think about it. It's not true. People have lied to you. I had to take a big pause. I didn't breathe for a second. So another receipt I think you should be able to hear me now. You lost your voice like Ariel. Okay. I think she definitely sings higher than that. Oh, wait a minute. I warmed up. I need to be speaking up here. Okay. So this is something that one of my internet pals at their Insta is going to be linked below as well, but it's at law_and_vinyls. And in her Instagram story post, she wrote, I'm a history buff. Just thought I'd take an opportunity to point out that mermaids have always been Black/West African. Literally nothing is new under the sun. Your Google keyword is Mami Wata, which I love. So I went and Googled, and this is the first Wikipedia page that showed up. It says, and this is also from Law and Vinyls. She says, Mami Wata is also known as Yemenia in the Bahaian people, Afro-Brazil, Oshimiri for the Igbo people in Nigeria, Oshun, Ifa, or Orisha lineage for Yoruba people. Like, she lists this on. This is linked as well below. Sorry, I should be sharing my screen. Give me 1 second, y'all, so that you can see her actual post. It's not the browser. Sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Oh no, it's telling me to log in. Okay. I'll just have to get it for next time. But again, from Law and Vinyl's Instagram story, Mami Wata is/was usually always depicted with a fishtail while holding a python, the universal animal symbol of the, quote, divine feminine principle across West Africa. Before Christians and Muslims, she said, before Christians and Muslims told us, quote, snakes are bad. The water symbolizes healing, renewal, clarity, and the in-between realm of the physical world and the spiritual world because of influence of Mami Wata. Baptism and water immersion plays a huge role in the modern Black church. Pre-Arabahamic African religions and modern Afro-diaspora religions like Haitian voodoo and Candomblé as well. An interesting research project is to study the history of the Black Baptist Church. And then she has the eyes. Let me hop out of this real quick. So yeah, it's actually quite interesting to observe that once you tell people, okay, well, y'all have not taken the time to actually learn the lineages of a lot of the global South, histories that we've had long before colonial influence. And so I know the history around all of us has told folks that your whiteness is the default and their history is where we start from and what we have to is the main study. But the world, again, is a big place. And while Europe was doing its thing, while America was gaining independence and all this stuff and enslaving people, other parts of the world were still also doing things and carrying on. So it's just very naive when folks try to say stuff like, well, mermaids aren't black historically, because it's like, one, y'all, mermaids are not real. They're not real. The mermaids, they aren't real. Yes, it was fun and it was a good song, but they're not real. They're not real. They're not real. Okay? So saying historically, and again, even if they were, white folks aren't the only folks that have had folklore about them. So the They're Not Real song was very nasally. I want to ask, why is it so important to y'all to exclude racialized people of color? Like, why does it matter to y'all so much to do that? That you send actors death threats. People that literally are just trying to live and take jobs where they can get them. Also, for The Little Mermaid, they've been trying to, for any of the Disney live actions, they've been going with more contemporary sounding voices, right? Because that's just the time that we're in. You're not going to hear, like, in the 90s and around that other time, like, you hear someone like Whitney Houston on the radio. Mariah Carey. Yes, there were still light, softer singers. Like, Aaliyah was never some, like, huge powerhouse vocalist. She had a nice voice. It was pretty. It was clean. It was clear. But you still had a lot of very powerful singers getting lots of radio play around that time. So it makes sense that Disney's sound was very sweeping and expansive and very, like, I don't know how to explain I think because one of the guys that was working with a lot of the music, especially for The Little Mermaid specifically, was in musical theater. So they kind of knew that you sing about it and then you talk about it, then you sing about it, then you start dancing about it. But anyway, now we have a lot more, the sound of people's voices is just very different. And I'm someone that likes to listen to that stuff or observe it because I grew up singing. So it makes sense that someone like Hallie would have been chosen just off that fact, firstly alone. But she can't sing. Don't get it twisted. Because she sang that first, those notes I heard in the trailer, and I was like, ooh, ooh, oh, it's so beautiful. And also, Hallie just gives me The Little Mermaid. She gives me Ariel. She seems, and I don't know her, so parasocial, but she seems so curious and inquisitive and passionate and feisty and magical. And so the fact that she just has a bit more melanin in her skin, and I'm saying it like this on purpose because I want y'all to hear how ridiculous it sounds that you look at people like they're completely different species from you just because they have more melanin in their skin. Because if you have brown eyes, you just have more melanin in your eyes than somebody with blue eyes. Gosh, oh, is that why Jane Elliott did the brown blue eye test? Damn. And also, yes, unlike Beauty and the Beast. Bro, when I was in the theaters watching Beauty and the Beast, love you, Emma, but what? The minute she opened her mouth, I looked at, Dennis was with me. I looked at Dennis and said, we can't be here this whole movie. This is not, especially after Audrey McDonald was singing. Y'all had her sing and then had Emma sing right after her. That was disrespectful. That was rude. Disney knew what they were doing. I saw one video of some guy that tried to like compare why The Little Mermaid is getting so much backlash compared to the Cinderella live action adaptation. And they said because it stuck true to the source material, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, girl, y'all haven't even seen, they gave us a teaser. Literally all we know is that she maybe did a slight variation of some of the runs. That's it. She basically did a slight variation of some runs in Part of Your World. And we heard maybe a few measures of that. A few measures. That's it. How do you know that they're not going to stay true to the source material? They haven't given us anything else. The only thing they've diverted on is the complexion, the hue of Ariel. And y'all are upset about that. I talk a lot about representation and how I do think it is really important. But in another angle of that, representation isn't just about being able to be seen. It's about having the power to mark, label, and identify. It's about being the power to show who gets represented and who doesn't, and how people get represented. In the grand scheme of things, y'all are fighting for representation that isn't going to do much beyond a cosmetic fix. And I say that even from the side of wanting to see more representation of folks with darker skin on programming, because I do still think it's important. I think when you see yourself represented, it does something for you. And like Sonia Renee Taylor says, when you don't see it, you make judgments about what that absence means. And so for white folks, I don't know if it's because a lot of folks don't realize that white is seen as the default, quote unquote. And as a result, you don't have to see whiteness. You just are a person, and then everyone else is raced, because the only way whiteness exists is if something is its opposite, or if it's, so whiteness needs other races to be whiteness. You need to have something that's the opposite of you, that you claim is the opposite of you. But because it's seen as like the default, or white folks maybe have been able to see themselves as the default, and that's what people talk about sometimes as well when they talk about privilege, is the privilege not to have to acknowledge certain things. If you're able-bodied, you don't have to worry about whether a subway station is accessible or not. You just carry about your day. It's a privilege not to have to worry about that, So the privilege of being able to be raced as white, and therefore the default. I think a lot of people assume that that means they're entitled to a lot of stuff. And when it comes to representation, it means they're entitled to the priority of representation. And it's like, that's not how this works. The world is changing and evolving a lot, and it's looking a lot more different as well than when the original Mermaid came out in 1989. It looks vastly different. The complexions of folks are very different as well. And so, and also, white folks aren't underrepresented in the media right now. It's not a crisis, at least as far as I know. And also, as far as I know, there are still a lot of white folks in certain positions that are still able to pick who gets represented and who doesn't. So this anger that a lot of folks are having over a seemingly kind of cosmetic solution to diversity problems in fantasy. It's just like, you could literally be mad about so many other things and be worried about so many other things. And really ask yourself, what really are you fighting for? Like, if you're someone who's like, I'm just tired of wokeness gone amok, whatever. Okay, what exactly is wokeness to you? Can you really define what that is first? And if you can, why are you sick of it? Actually, because y'all are just throwing the word woke around any single time there's slight representation or a slight, I don't know, any sort of like, if a white person isn't the center or focal point or isn't the majority, all of a sudden it's a problem. See, it's interesting because I just had this thought. Here we go. We're also living in a time where, like, it's not like civil rights era, apartheid, South Africa, technically, like the times that were, let's say, on the outward more extreme, where you saw the discrimination and racism more outwardly. Now we're living in a time where it seems we're all pretty quote unquote equal if you don't look into things too deeply, right? So what other ways can people tell on themselves? Yeah, sure. Maybe someone's gone from, hey, I think the black folks should be able to live. Of course. I just don't want to see them on my TV screens all the time. We let them walk around. They're free now. Everything's desegregated. We're all here. People get paid. Jay-Z's a billionaire. I don't need to see y'all on my screen all the time. What more do you want? Now you want to come after our TV too? Our fantasy? You're telling on yourselves. And it's interesting to observe because people will do everything they can to denounce that it's in any way having to do with race. And the only difference in a lot of this stuff is that there is a person with melanin in the role. That is literally it. So if it is not about racism, then what is it about? Like, really, can you answer that? Because the only other times you see racialized people of color or allegories to those folks in sci-fi and fantasy is when we're like monsters. What are y'all talking about in this chat? I'm looking over here now. Good point. Oof. But yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking over my notes, y'all. Any other thoughts about the sci-fi fantasy? I hate it here, dang. Sometimes I do too. Went to see Blue People movie. Oh, can I? Okay. The other thing, this is just a side tangent off of this. I really do feel bad for a lot of folks growing up in this time, because are y'all ever going to get to see something like, I know nothing is really quote unquote original, but are y'all ever going to get to see something original? Like, everything is a remake. Everything is a remake. There are people telling interesting stories that are not getting the chances to, or the opportunities, or the funds, because y'all just want to make everything a spectacle to make money, and people are over it. Ugh. The one remake that I saw recently that I really liked, and I think remake that I really liked but hadn't even seen before, I hadn't seen the original, was A League of Their Own. Oh, thank you so much, Johnny. Oh, wait, I have to scroll. I'll scroll back up after. Thanks so much for the super chats. Like, I know the economy is not the best, but I really do appreciate it when y'all do, because, like, it's just, thank you. Thank you. Because who knows what YouTube is going to do to this video. So, every dollar counts. Okay, anyway. But A League of Their Own, I never saw the original. I just always knew the line, there's no crying in baseball. But I had known about some of the actors that were on the show, so I was excited to see that. And it is so good. Oh my God, A League of Their Own is so good. Oh my gosh. I love it. It's an adaptation. It's a complete remake. They use a lot of the, like, I don't know, they just take a story that was just a film and turned it, like, juiced it for so much. Oh my God, A League of Their Own. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. Sorry, I just want to look up one of the girl that plays Maxine. Maxine is a character I felt seen. Like, I was like, is this a 1940s NB baby? With her trans masculine uncle? What? What is going on here? No. Is that Rosie O'Donnell? What? Is this a secret gay club? What? Yo, A League of Their Own is fantastic. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I need to watch the original because I know it's apparently a good movie, but the TV show, so fantastic. So fantastic. Oh my God, it's so good. I'm going to watch it again. That's how much I liked it. Sorry, I'm going to check some of these super chats. The first one, Johnny says, Johnny Socket. You know how elves in fantasy shows usually have a smoother British and orcs have a more Australian accent? It's a similar representation problem. Elves never have an Australian accent. It's subtle, but I know what you mean, because Australia was an island for prisoners, right? So, like, it's like, who can we look down upon? The higher class, the elves, will have these posh British accents. And the other ones, maybe they'll be Australian, maybe they'll even be Irish, the orcs, or something like that. Something gritty and working class and not as nice and proper. When you see it, you can't unsee it. Aston Mac TV says, yo, I'm an activist and streamer from Orlando. Would you be down to chat sometime about white supremacy, patriarchy, etc.? Perhaps, maybe. Sometimes I just want to, like, sit and stare into space and not think about white supremacy, but that's just because I need to recharge. You know what I'm saying? So, to kind of do the last bits here, because we've talked about everything I want to talk about, I want to actually do something fun. I'll first show you the books I'm reading right now. One is Feminism for the 99%. And I'll just read you what it says on the back here. It says, The time for fence sitting is past, and feminists must take a stand. Will we continue to pursue equal opportunity domination while the planet burns, or will we reimagine gender justice in an anti-capitalist form, one that leads beyond the present crisis to a new society? Yes, it's a little reader, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it. I'm still also on abolition feminism now. I think these two are really pairing very nicely. Me and my freaking book pairings, like wine pairings. These two are pairing very nicely together. So, yes. And I got them from, well, this one I got from Indigo and this one I got from my local bookstore. And then this one I just finished, Entitled by Kate Mann. She has another book that I got called Down Girl that's pretty interesting. As you can tell, I obviously had a lot of notes and stuff. But that's what I've been reading for this last little bit. And all the stuff that I talk about with representation whenever I'm chatting about that and letting y'all know what's what is from this book. It's a textbook. I did order it because I am a nerd. But yes, this is the book that I use a lot when I'm talking about media representation and all that kind of stuff. It's helped me so much. And yeah, it is a textbook though, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It's like 75 Canadian dollars. So, but I got it a while ago and it's been very, very helpful. Now, the last two things I wanted to do were give, because a lot of y'all ask me for like show recommendations and podcast recommendations. So the TV show recommendation I wanted to give, and this shouldn't be too surprising because I've talked about this show a lot, but if you're not watching Yellow Jackets and season 2 comes out and you haven't been watching Yellow Jackets, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you just don't like to be entertained. Maybe you just don't like incredible television. It is fantastic. I've rewatched Yellow Jackets more times than I care to admit. The trailer, and I think Sharon, or one of you, if you could put the trailer I have it in the document. The trailer was so fantastic for the first season, and it only had clips from the first episode, mostly. Not only, but mostly. That's how you do a good trailer. I'm just saying. It's a TV show. I'm not going to give too much away because you need to watch it, but it's a TV show about a group of girls. This isn't the trailer, so you'll see this, but a group of girls that are on this soccer team that end up in a plane crash in like the BC mountains, good Lord, and are there for a year and a half. And it flashes back and forth between then, because it took place in 1996, and the present day time. And there's a lot of secrets, a lot of mystery. They do a really incredible job of playing around with, is this real and people's minds are playing tricks on them, or is this magic? And it's a tad queer. It's also funny at times, yes. But it's like Lord of the Flies meets a girls' soccer team getting stranded in the wilderness. I don't know how else to explain it. Like the first 3 minutes of the show, you're like, what? The show is incredible. But if you don't like gory stuff, be mindful. I was gonna say we could maybe, do y'all know if we'd be able to watch a trailer together, or will I get demonetized? Because if I can, then I'll just share the screen. But I don't know. Trailers are fine. Trailers are fine. Does anybody else know? It's copyrighted material. Don't take the chance. Without the audio, you might. Okay, yeah. So maybe we won't be able to. Oh. There are whole trailer reaction channels, yeah, but I wonder if. Yeah, y'all. I don't know. Those accounts, they probably can get away with a lot more than I can on this app. We'll discuss on Tuesday. Maybe in an alternate universe things are okay. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to watch it and show y'all just because I don't want to get demonetized, but definitely check it out. It's a fantastic show. And then the other podcast recommendation I wanted to give y'all was from Cool People Who Did Cool Stuff, hosted by Margaret Killjoy. And she did an episode this week on Chumbawamba. And like, okay, they're one of those groups where if you never saw or heard of them, you know the song. It's that I get knocked down, but I get up again, and they're never gonna get me down. I get knocked down. Like if you know that song, that's Chumbawamba. And so one of the only memories I really have of that band was in Scream Queens when one of the like douchebaggy frat bros is like, yo, Boone, turn on my playlist. It's called Douche. And then the first song on there is the Chumbawamba song. So I always just thought it was associated with like the worst kind of people. But listening to this podcast episode was fascinating because it's called like How to Sell Out in a Good Way. And basically it tells a really fantastic story of how Chumbawamba came to be, how they try to use corporate money and like success to try and like help out direct action groups, mutual aid groups, all that kind of stuff. And it just really like gave me hope as well, because it was like the thing I needed to know that I can still figure out a way to, well, as best I can, I don't know, maybe I'm being naive, but walk this line of I don't know, using the charm that I have or the wit or the ability to like, I don't know, chat with people or influence people or whatever. Use this clout. That's what I'm looking for, to funnel more resources to other places. I don't know. It just was really like a cool story, because even at one point they were talking about how like when they started to get more money and more successful, one of them, they had to like shame another band member out of buying a Jaguar or something like that, you know? Like I just like, I want to be able to have success, sure, do all the producery, hosty things that I want to do, performancey things, but also, yeah, I really want to make sure that like what I'm doing and whatever influence I have is like helping other people. And so, yeah, like I even think of someone like No Name, like her and her Radical Hood library. We did it as a collection plate last year for those of you that participated in that. But I don't know. I just think that more and more artists, more and more people, more and more creatives or successful people, you kind of start to go in different directions. It's either more are going to start just being like, well, the world's going to hell anyway. If you got mine, I'm just going to keep doing that. Or diverging into the, well, what can we do to try and solve some of these problems a bit more? We're not going to maybe solve it. We're not going to solve it in our lifetime or fix it, but what can we do to mitigate some of this harm? and still be able to live the kind of lives that we kind of want. So for me, that's kind of it. Like, I just am a creative person. I love making things and sharing them with people. And then we get to the merch line. I told y'all I'd come back. So I did this, and I was really kind of caught up in it because I was a bit worried that doing something like this is just, well, you're just profiting like everyone else. And from the jump, though, I knew that I wanted to do what somewhere like Adam and Eve does, like where a percentage of their funding, or shopnb.com does this as well. A percentage of their funding goes to a rotating list of, I think for them, it's like grassroots organizations. I'd want to do grassroots or direct action. But I think a lot of people like to spend money. A lot of people like to shop. And it's easier to get money for the things that you want to help fund when there's like a guise, I guess. And the guise is, oh, look at this cute tumbler. Don't you want to buy one? Now you bought one. And part of your money is going to help someone. And the other part is going to the business so that we can start expanding things and helping other artists that are coming up. I don't know, y'all. This is very like cheesy, and maybe it's too optimistic for me to think that. But I've just been trying to like make sure that I keep doing my best to keep my intentions in check, if that makes sense. And I'm hoping that with all of this newfound clout, with everything that I'm doing in this space, the way the channel is evolving and changing and adapting, I'm just hoping that, I don't know, I don't let folks down in a like moral way, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? That's a little too much. That's a little too much. The tote bags, my sister took them because they had to take pictures of them. So I don't have any of the tote bags with me, which sucks because they're cute. But this is one of the cards that I was giving away. Initially on the front, it says, "Sorry, I'm late. I didn't want to be here. Naomi Campbell, Jujubee, and other skinny legends who don't sew." And then the back is just what it's called. It's called Flaunt, spelled with a W for copyright. And then there were stickers here. I used most of them, but there's still one more. And then, you know how I would say, bonjour, nakam hi. It's all this. And then just a card that's just talking about why I made this brand, because it is a brand. And yeah. And we wanted it to be multifunctional. So it's also makes for a great little table topper thing. You just stick it up here and it's a cute, funny little, anyway. Yes. All that to say, I will be selling out to a certain extent. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna try to do it so that I can also help people out. Like, do it so that I can help people like Chumbo Mamba did. Okay. Oh, goodness. All right. Anyway, we've been on here for quite some time. So are there any last little bits of questions before we go? You are not sick of me, Bellamy. You are not. It's called Crescent Coonin. I'm going to do the same. Use the channel and you've helped educate me and I think more about our society. Oh, thanks, Colin Wade. Thank you. I'm doing all right, actually. I'm good. Sorry, I need to talk on my breath a bit more. But yeah, I'm good. I was nervous today, but I just turned on the camera and blacked out, and now we're at the end of it. and it's been 3 hours. And I think that's a good amount of time for a live stream. I think 3 hours is going to be like my max. Excuse me, sorry. I hate gulping in the... I was all on Black and Irish Twitter. Oh my God. That also made my heart happy because I know quite a few Irish people. And I just love how we've always just been able to bond over that one that one bit of Yeah, let me know if y'all are interested in me doing more of these lives as opposed to, it's not that I won't release videos anymore because I think I'm still going to do a season 2 if you can always change your mind, but it's going to probably be later in the year and going to be more like 6 to 8 episodes like the last one was. So I'm wondering if y'all prefer the lives as opposed to the videos. Not saying that I won't do them, but just like if this is a format that you come on Sundays to see me do, chat about weekly stuff, make it serious, but also make it funny. Somebody said, no. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. Again, I will still do my other videos, but they just take more research. And I don't like for the lives, I still will do research throughout the week and reading, but it's definitely not as much as I would for a video. So I want to make sure that that's also just known from the jump. This isn't, I'm going to try and see a way for Maddie and / or Raina to fact check my notes for the lives maybe. But either way, I hope this is, seems like y'all are having fun. Y'all are cutting up in the chat. I can't pay attention to the chat or else I'll get way too distracted. The other 2 books I always recommend are How Can I Get Through to You by Terrence Real and The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. Oh, yes. Wine and Chill. Oh my gosh. So there's a video that I linked below because she was talking about, it's called Queen Elizabeth II, Colonizer Exposed. I have linked that below, so check it out because Sharon was the one who recommended her to me, actually. Reading those 2 books won't depress you. It's giving you practical tools. We need the Goodreads. I have a Goodreads account. Follow me on Goodreads if you want to. I don't really like to read fiction, so sorry. Any other questions before I go, y'all? We'll do another like 10 minutes. Oh, no, I haven't read it yet. Sorry, Bellamy. Oh my God. If you haven't, what the fuck? Damn. I have a Goodreads, yes. The music channel, I have no idea, y'all. I'm all over the place with my singing. Does Nicole do your hair? Who's Nicole? I feel like I'm missing a joke. What did I do for the full moon? Was it last night? I didn't go live on Twitch. Sorry, y'all. Because I was trying to figure out how to stream on both. I'm still trying to figure that out. So I just was live on here today. Why y'all hate Twitch so much? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't know. Seems like, yeah, maybe this is it. Also, y'all, why y'all think Harry Styles spat in that man's lap? What's wrong with y'all? Clearly, he looked down, realized his sunglasses were there. He had been looking for them and forgot that they were in his lap, and he was giving himself a doy. Y'all, do you really think? Really? Please. I can't even think of what else happened this week because there was a lot that happened this week actually. Honestly, I'm probably just bringing this up now, but you're right. It's true. What? I think the only thing I'm gonna do after this is go check out Ray J's Instagram and see if he's still acting up. this is I never had Twitter when I just got Twitter in July. I never had Twitter when all the fun stuff was happening. So this is the first time I've been here with the Queen passing away. It's wow. I get what people mean. But yeah, if you missed it earlier, we chatted about Ray J a bit. Just go to his Instagram if you want some tea, because clearly he's upset and he has projector PowerPoints. Anyway. Oh, Eliza, you asked about all three of you for your advice. You are very welcome, Eliza. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Listen to the podcast, Leftover Millennials, if you haven't. I'm going to actually... What I'm going to do... Oops. Sorry, I was gone for a second there. I will be for a second. Give me 1 sec.
When I came out to my mom, she said 2 words. I know.
I was about to say, get out. I'm kidding.
She was like, and what?
She said 2 words. Bitch, bye.
She said 3 words. You better work. But okay, so I did.
She said 2 words. We stand.
She said 2 words. You ate.
she said 2 words. I live.
No. I just imagine my mom like duck walking off the stage.
That's literally. That's why it's so funny. That was muted. That's the podcast if y'all want to check it out. That's the podcast if y'all want to check it out. I'm echoing. Yes, that was a little clip. Clearly we have a good time. That's a clip from an episode coming out later this week. She said 2 words. Bye, Nicole. That's my favorite thing. All right, y'all. The podcast is in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching and coming back this week. It honestly means a lot to me. I guess I'll be back next week because, listen, if y'all gonna keep coming back, I'll keep doing it because I also, have bills. So, But yeah, this was fun. Thank you. Don't forget to feed your plets, water your plets, and remember that you can always change your mind because you can. And I'll see y'all next week. Bye.